Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Leah.
And I'm Mike.
Mike, did you ever grow up playing video games?
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely of the gaming generation. I had an Apple II was my first computer, and I was playing on one of those green screens with very minimal sound. And now I have a really nice computer, and I love to play games even now. What about you?
Yeah, I had an Atari 2600.
Ooh, classic.
And played a lot of the classic games like Pitfall and Superman and Space Invaders, and loved them to death. But these games are ones that we play on computers. We're talking about kind of taking them out of the computer universe and putting it into the real world. It feels like a combination of Renaissance Festival and video games when you get into the topic of what we're talking about now in our Unit 9 fun article. Test your wits in the world of escape games. So escape games are a combination of a whole lot of fun stuff that we're going to get into today and talk about.
Absolutely. If you love shooting games, you can go to one of those laser sort of tag games or paintball. If you love racing games, you can go go-kart racing in the real world. But yeah, if you like the more intellectual, more cerebral puzzle games, I think then escape games or escape rooms are definitely something you would want to check out. They're also really good group activities, right?
Yeah, good birthday parties, right?
Do this for birthday parties or even for companies, right? You can have some staff members on the company work together because not only is it fun, but it also tests your mind, it tests your problem-solving abilities, and also your ability to cooperate and work together as a team.
Team building activities.
Right, because most of these games and rooms and facilities that they have with these escape rooms, they're not really designed as a single-player game like a lot of computer games are. They're definitely designed to be done with a group. And so let's find out. If you as you mentioned, if you love dressing up, you can kind of get into the role-playing part of it as well. If you really want to live out your Sherlock Holmes fantasies, well, grab your deerstalker cap and your fancy pipe and, get Mr. Dr. Watson to come along with you and join in as we test your wits in the world of escape games. Before we get to explaining the article, let's listen to it now. You enter an old-fashioned detective's office. The door locks with a click as a radio buzzes. Rookie detectives, a priceless diamond is missing. Solve the case in 1 hour. The room is filled with clues, photographs, coded messages, and secret compartments. As the grandfather clock ticks, you and your friends must work to unlock the secrets. This is what escape rooms are all about. Immersive adventure games where you solve puzzles and escape the themed setting within a time limit. The concept of escape rooms dates back to early first-person video games. In 1988, John Wilson introduced Behind Closed Doors, a text-based game that required players to type commands to escape a bathroom. This game is often seen as the first instance of a player being trapped within a room. By the early 2000s, point-and-click adventure games like Crimson Room gained popularity. These games involved interacting with the environment to solve puzzles and escape virtual spaces. The real-world transition occurred in 2007, when Takao Kato, a Japanese creator, launched the first live escape game in Kyoto. This innovation quickly spread globally and evolved into the escape rooms we recognize today. Escape rooms have been a popular entertainment trend for over a decade. Participants typically form teams of 2 to 10 players. These games are set in realistically designed environments and go beyond simple escapes. They include live-action role-playing. Each room creates its own fictional narrative, with themes ranging from haunted castles to high-tech laboratories. Players dive into the unfolding plot as they explore their surroundings and solve puzzles. They use the clues they uncover to find treasures and escape within the typical 60-minute time limit. Escape rooms offer players a comprehensive challenge. They engage your knowledge, observation, teamwork, and critical thinking in thrilling scenarios. If you're ready to leave ordinary life behind, your next adventure is just a puzzle away. All right. So yes, test your wits in the world of escape games. That's the title of our article. And we'll be looking both at the video games that sort of preceded the real world escape rooms that we'll look at a little bit later. But in both cases, and with many other types of games, testing your wits is one of the fun things about it. When we say test your wits basically being kind of your intelligence, how quick you are, how easily and quickly you can solve puzzles and understand situations. If we say someone has a quick wit, they can probably make a joke out of something very quickly. You know, they're the person who can look at things from different angles and problem solve a little bit more gracefully than other people and a little bit more easily than other people. So if we're testing your wits, we're doing some kind of intellectual puzzle, like crossword puzzles or even normal puzzles that you put together on a table, you know, where you kind of construct a picture with tiny pieces. All of these things will test your wits, test your intellect, and how quickly and easily you can solve puzzles. So the article begins, you enter an old-fashioned detective's office. Okay, already I'm getting my nice little Sherlock Holmes vibes here. Or maybe it's a bit more Philip Marlowe and Sam Spade, kind of 1940s American noir detective fiction. But we've seen movies like this. We've seen TV shows like this or read books or even played video games like this. There's the old-fashioned detective's office. Now, when we say a detective here, it could be an officer in the police force. Detectives will be the ones who wear sort of normal street clothes or suits. We might see them. They're the ones who solve the crimes, who go out and, you know, once the evidence is collected, they try to, you know, find the suspects and question them and things like that. Detectives will not be wearing uniforms and driving around in the cars with the lights on top, giving out traffic tickets. These are the more senior crime-solving police officers. Or you could also be a private detective or a private investigator, more like Sherlock Holmes or characters from movies and television. You know, people come to them with very personal problems. I'm afraid my wife is cheating on me. Can you follow her and get pictures or, you know, things like that. And they make great material for lots of wonderful and entertaining stories. So we all have an idea of what we're seeing here. The door locks with a click as a radio buzzes. Oh, so now it feels like we've been trapped. If a door locks with a click, it gives us the idea that we'll need a key to open it. And if we just walked in that room, there's a good chance we don't have the key. We'll need to find it. And so what do we hear buzzing out from this radio?
Well, it says, rookie detectives, a priceless diamond is missing. Solve the case in 1 hour.
Okay, so there's our situation or our scenario.
Yeah, and that's really what the first paragraph is all about, is setting that scenario, the feeling of walking into an escape room. You have just walked into an escape room in this article. And a rookie is somebody who's in their first year, somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of experience, somebody who's new at their job. A rookie detective is one who's maybe not even solved their first case yet.
Oh, so we're kind of pretending this is like a training exercise or something.
Absolutely.
Okay,
and all these different escape rooms really have their different themes, right?
So I'm Sherlock Holmes Jr. now.
You are. You are the rookie detective.
Right.
And you need to find the priceless diamond, this diamond that has too much of a value to be able to put a price on it. It's priceless. And you only have 1 hour to do it. Normally when we go into these escape rooms, you have to complete the escape room, entire process by 1 hour. Otherwise, you fail.
But they do let you go home.
They let you go home.
Okay, good.
But you are locked in until that time,
right.
And you can feel very frustrated if your wits are not about you enough to figure out how to solve the puzzles. The room is filled with clues. And this is what's so cool about these escape rooms, right? There's photographs, there's coded messages, and secret compartments. A compartment meaning a little enclosed space that normally has a little door that you open up. You might have a shoe compartment to put your shoes in. Your locker in school is a compartment to put your books and things in. You might have a compartment in the gym where you put your gym clothes in, things like that. These little compartments are, where you store stuff or where you hide stuff sometimes too. And as the grandfather clock ticks, you and your friends must work to unlock the secrets. So I love the word tick. I love any word like the word tick because it's onomatopoetic, which means it sounds like what it does. The clock ticks, tick. The other half of it is talk, but it is a sound word. So like buzz is the sound that a bee makes, or chirp, chirp, chirp is the sound that a bird makes. Those are also onomatopoetic words. So the grandfather clock is that big clock that you've seen in old style movies with the pendulum coming down, tick, tock, tick, tock. And it ticks every second. So on your watch, if you have one of those old-fashioned watches and you put it up to your ear, you can hear it ticking too. A bomb ticks, tick, 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 tick. Not all things that tick are good things, like a bomb. And you and your friends must work to unlock the secrets. Normally you solve a secret or you uncover the secrets, but here we're talking about unlocking the secrets, probably because it's not just going to be one of those things where you're like, hey, tell me your secret, and everything is out in the open. This is something where you're going to have to solve puzzles or complete tasks or follow the clues and gradually open up, unlock the secret that comes from solving these puzzles. And here we're unlocking the mystery of the escape room and trying to also, while we're at it, unlock the door.
Very, very cool. So we can also use the word tick just to talk about how a clock is working. I'm not sure my watch is still working. It's not ticking, right? It's ticking, it's working. And if time is ticking down, you're running out of time. So also just the working of a clock, we often use the word tick. It's ticking, meaning the clock is working. It says this is what escape rooms are all about: immersive adventure games where you solve puzzles and escape the themed setting within a time limit. Yeah, games like this and computer games as well can be quite immersive, right? You get the sound, you get the image in front of your face. Sometimes you can have a chair or a joystick that shakes at certain times when there's action going on. Anything immersive, it kind of draws you into that world. It gives you more of a sense of realism. If you've been to one of those 4D movies, right, where the chair shakes or it sprays wind or water at your face. If something is happening in the movie that involves wind and water, they're trying to make it more immersive, make it more realistic, in other words. And in this game, you are solving puzzles and escaping the themed setting within a time limit. So you're looking around this room at all these different messages, secret compartments, codes, trying to get the answer. I guess you have an hour or so. And if you make it, you have a great sense of sort of accomplishment. And if you don't, you kind of walk out sheepishly going, we weren't that smart. We didn't solve the puzzle or something like that. And there will be a time limit, meaning you do have a limited amount of time, a certain amount of time. Otherwise, you will be out of time. It says the concept of escape rooms dates back to early first-person video games. So yeah, we're going back probably to the early days of video games. Maybe the 1980s when the computer graphics, the pictures the computer could make were a bit more realistic, because a first-person game basically means what you see on the screen in the game is the view from the character in the game's eyes. It's as if you're inside the character. You are that character. One of the first-person shooting games that you might have known of was Doom or Castle Wolfenstein or something like that. And you just had an arm with a gun kind of sticking out at the bottom of the screen as if you are walking and that is your eyes and your head looking around and things like that. It made it, again, more immersive, more realistic. And then in 1988, we read John Wilson introduced Behind Closed Doors. We can see that that's a title of something. This was a text-based game that required players to type commands to escape a bathroom. So, again, a computer game, but one probably with very bad graphics or even no graphics, not a lot of cool stuff to look at, because it's a text-based game. They don't make many of these anymore.
No.
You might find old versions of some of the old games, or maybe there's a few independent companies. But a text-based game, not so popular because it's just about reading. You're just reading things. You're reading what the characters say. You're reading descriptions of the rooms you're in or the world you're in. And then you're writing what you do. Walk left, press button, open door, things like that. And then it will react to what you write, and the game will move on from there. So entertaining, sure, but you need to use your imagination quite a lot. And of course, today with computers being more powerful, we can, create a realistic looking world to go along with the very cool games that they have. It says this game, behind closed doors, is often seen as the first instance or the first example or the first time that we had a player being trapped within a room. So just the idea, the basic idea of escaping from a room in a limited time with a bunch of puzzles and clues lying around you, that started with behind closed doors. And then a few years later, they had more complicated ones, right?
They did, but before we talk about those, why don't we take a little break, listen to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是 Anna。 我们今天要带大家来去玩密室逃脱。这密室逃脱真的好好玩，对不对？不管是2个人玩或一群人玩，好像人越多越有趣。不过这个密室逃脱我们今天设计成为篇章结构。那这个篇章结构呢，其实从今年的学测开始它就会变成5选4，所以增加了一个选项，其实难度真的变得很高。那增加了一个选项，就不得不逼迫你真的非得要先从选项开始分析一下不可。所以我们一样先从选项 A、B、C、D、E 5个当中看看，接下来在做文章的时候这个做题目的时候，文章有没有可能哪一个段落的内容是比较符合这个选项的。当然我们在看的时候，除了句子要看懂之外，还要看懂句子当中有一些关键的 keywords 词汇，它能够指引出这个答案可能会出现在哪里。比如说像这边的选项 A， 选项 A 这边提到的是这些游戏 these games， 就包含跟环境互动来解决谜题，并且逃离虚拟的空间。那当然除了我们看到这个代名词要特别注意， these games 影射的是前文提到了有2个以上复数的这些游戏。而接下来句子当中最重要的关键就是倒数第2个 virtual， 是虚拟的空间。虚拟的空间，可是我们知道密室逃脱是实际上你真的到了一个实际的场景做密室逃脱，对不对？好，那接着 B 选项呢，看到的是 This is what， 这就是所谓的 escape rooms 是什么样子，它的精髓如何。好，基本上呢你这就是密室逃脱这个是沉浸式的冒险游戏，要在限定时间内解决谜题，然后要逃出去。好，那 This is what 的 This 一定指的就是前文，前文就有描述这个密室逃脱到底是长什么样子。接下来 C 的选项同样看到复数的代名词 These games， 这些游戏。好，这些游戏如何呢？这些游戏就是被设置在有逼真设计的环境当中，不仅是单纯的逃脱还包含了真人角色扮演。那在这里的 C 选项要特别注意中间前面一点关键的 realistically， 是真实的情境之下设计的环境，也就是我们现在去玩的那种密室逃脱。好，再来 D 选项，前面谈到的是 some critics， 有些批评者他们就说，哎呀，好像有缺乏一些适当的 safety measures， 这个缺乏一些适当的安全设备，可能就是提到这个密室逃脱，如果我们进去之后是不是有一些危险，也就是谈到密室逃脱的一些比较负面的一些批评，或者是它的缺点有可能产生的危险。好，最后面 E 的答案 This game， 这个游戏如何呢？这个游戏被视为玩家是困在房间之内的第1个例子首例哦。好，所以这个 E 的选项要特别注意 This game， 它的前文一定在描述一个特定的游戏，而且可能发生在蛮之前的，因为它是第1个例子 The first instance。 好，那接着我们就要回过头来看一下文章到底要怎么样来填答会比较通顺呢？在我们第1段当中看到的你进入了一个老式的侦探办公室，然后呢门锁上了 blah blah blah， 第1句到第4句其实都是在描述我们现在玩的密室逃脱，所以第1题应该要选 B， This is what escape rooms are all about， 会比较通顺。因为选项 B 当中主词的 this 这个代名词其实就是第1句到第4句所描述的整个 scenario。 好，那么接下来呢，既然第1段已经把密室逃脱整个的状况谈出来之后，第2段会再谈什么呢？通常这些出题比较不会出现在段落的第1句话，因为段落的第1句话通常都是一个主题句，也就是说我们从第2段的第1句看到 date back， 追溯到早期如何如何，那它一定是在谈密室逃脱的一个 origin 起源如何。好， 那既然谈到起源如何，我们接下来看到第二段的第二句，如果告诉我们在1988年回到了那个时候，有一个游戏是叫做紧密的门后，那这款游戏它是基于文字的游戏，然后呢，它文字的游戏的玩家必须要输入一个指令才能逃离浴室，所以既然是追溯到最早之前的状况，很有可能答案就是一的选项，因为我们谈的是这一个第一人称的视角电玩游戏，所以它呼应了一选项当中主词代名词的 this game， 而且它的确是1988年第一款虽然不是实境的，却是电玩游戏，所以第二题的答案应该选一比较适合哦。
All right, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back. All right, so yes, you were just talking a little while ago about there being other kinds of games, more complicated games. So by the early 2000s, point-and-click adventure games like Crimson Room gained popularity.
I think I remember this game.
See, I don't remember this game, but at point-and-click would be, you move your mouse. This is probably one you're doing with a computer. So you're moving your mouse over to something and you're pointing at it and you're clicking on the thing and making it do the next action. So you don't have to type it in anymore. Turn left, look up, talk to the bird on the wall or whatever like that. Instead, you get to move the character left and right with a point-and-click adventure game. Adventure just meaning that you're solving an adventure, you're going on an adventure, you're going out and you're having fun like you're doing with the escape rooms. Crimson is a deep, dark color of red. I love the idea of the word crimson. I think is it Alabama, the guys that are Crimson Tide? I'm probably really embarrassing myself if I got it wrong. But football team. These games involved interacting with the environment to solve puzzles and escape virtual spaces. So once again, we had it in the original typing command games. We have it in the point and click games where you're interacting with your environment. You're talking to the stranger to the right of you. You are opening a door. You are cooking a meal in the game to solve puzzles and escape a virtual space. And that's what is involved. That is what is included. If you are involved in the game, you are right there in it and you're taking part in it and you are the one who's probably doing the pointing and the clicking. If you're involved with a person, a lot of times we talk about, those two are involved. That means they're dating. There's a lot involved in understanding the complexities of physics. Well, that means there's a lot to it. There's a lot that you need to know. Those are different usages of involved. The real world transition occurred in 2007 when Takao Kato, I think you said earlier, Takao Kato, a Japanese creator, launched the first live escape room in Kyoto. So 2007, that's less than 20 years ago, guys. And that was the real world transition. So it moved from being in something that you did in a video game and it transitioned into something you do in real life, in the real world. And that just means it moved from being in that video game to being in the real world.
And then it says this innovation or this new concept, this new creation by Takao Kato quickly spread globally and evolved into the escape rooms we recognize today. Since this was only 2007, as we mentioned, there were probably internet videos, maybe some news reports showing, look what people are doing in Japan now. Yeah. And a lot of people around the world saw it and went, that looks pretty cool. It's probably also popular in Japan because a lot of people live in cities. You don't have the chance to get out and do things that might be kind of fun and physical with your friends. So KTV and escape rooms and party rooms and things like that. These are types of things that often do come to us from Japan. But of course, people in cities all over the world looked at this and thought, that looks like fun. So I'm sure they were quickly, they had, soon there were other escape rooms in New York or LA or London and lots of other places like that. It says escape rooms have been a popular entertainment trend for over a decade. So over a decade, for more than 10 years, they've been a popular entertainment trend. The things that you do for fun in your free time is entertainment. So this is not involving things you do because you have responsibilities, like for your work. It's not things that you do because you have to, like, going to the bank or paying your taxes or even going to the gym just to stay healthy. These are things you do for fun. So, whatever you like to do, reading books, playing games, playing sports with your friends, going window shopping downtown, all of that can be entertainment, things that you find fun and enjoyable in your free time. It says participants, people who take part in these games, typically form teams of 2 to 10 players.
Wow.
That's probably another attractive element. You can go with a small group or a big group or any group in between. It doesn't really matter. I'm sure getting more than 10 players inside some of these rooms would be a challenge. You can't really solve the puzzle if no one can move in the room. And maybe with 2 players, you'd really have to be working hard. Hopefully you and your friend are smart, because you only have 2 brains to try to work on finding the solutions. These games are set in realistically designed environments and go beyond simple escapes. They include live action role playing. Okay, so yeah, it's more than just, try to open the box or try to find the key or something like that. And the environments are very realistic. So it will look like an old detective's office. It will look like a spaceship that's on fire or something like that. It will look like a haunted house that you're trying to escape from, just to make it more realistic. And sometimes they go beyond the escapes. It's more than just trying to get out, solve the puzzle and escape the room. It might involve live action role playing. All of your friends dress like characters from a story. If it's in a sort of magic castle themed escape room, you can all dress like your favorite Harry Potter characters. You can answer to the names, speak like the people. This is live action role playing or LARPing, LARP, where people adults dress up as their favorite characters and live out fantasy fictional lives as if they are characters in their own play or movie or story or something like that. And speaking of story.
Yeah, if you go to one of these places, they're all over Taiwan, they have several rooms. And as we see here, each room creates its own fictional narrative. So it's not based on, necessarily a real life story, but it's more like a fictional story. So something, imagined, something not real, something like Sherlock Holmes, who was written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, or Breaking Bad, where you have to figure out how to break the crime ring or something like that. And with themes ranging from haunted castles to high-tech laboratories. So haunted castles might be great for a Sherlock Holmes or a Scooby-Doo theme, haunted meaning it has ghosts in it, whereas high-tech laboratories might be good for a Breaking Bad thing where you have to put different chemicals together and explode the laboratory being the science room where you do a lot of science experiments. That's normally called a laboratory, or short, it's called a lab. Players dive into the unfolding plot because it's not just a simple plot. It kind of gradually opens up. You're unlocking the secrets, right? You're unfolding the plot as you go on. And as they explore, they're unfolding the plot and their surroundings, and they are solving the puzzles. They use the clues they uncover, that they discover, to find treasures and escape within the typical 60-minute time limit. You get done in 60 minutes, you get a certificate that says, I survived XYZ escape room. Look at me.
That's pretty cool. So something to remember your experience by, and also show off to your friends when they call you silly. Escape rooms, it says, offer players a comprehensive challenge. So something that's comprehensive, it's sort of all-encompassing. So that's a challenge to your mind. It's a challenge to your team-working abilities. It's a challenge to your problem-solving abilities, your patience, possibly, when you're like, oh, screw it, I can't get the... Just let me out of here.
Anymore. Open the door.
You got to stay calm and stay cool and stay collected. So it's an all-around or a full-scale challenge. They engage your knowledge, observation, teamwork, and critical thinking in thrilling scenarios. There you go. 4 examples of how it's quite comprehensive. It challenges you in all different ways. In these thrilling scenarios, a scenario is kind of like a story or the framework, the basic description of a story. Okay, so we're in a castle and we got to escape and there's a crazy killer with an axe. And if we don't get out in an hour, he kills us all. That's the scenario. That's the basic story, like a framework or a skeleton of a story, not filled in with all the details, but enough to understand what's going on. So, as we wrap up, it says, if you're ready to leave ordinary life behind, your next adventure is just a puzzle away. And we promise they will let you go home even if you don't answer don't solve the puzzle.
And something else that is just a step away, that is our Chinese teacher. Let's listen one more time.
到了接下来的第二段啊，我们看到这个整个的起源1988，到了2000年初的时候，出现了赤色密室这种点击式的冒险游戏。好，那接下来就看到第三题了。第三题之后啊，关键就出现了。2007年，也就是第二段的第6句，开始有现实世界的转变哦。所以在2007年现实世界转变之前，都还是一个虚拟的密室逃脱。所以第三题要选 A 比较适合，因为 A 啊，它的句子啊，整个的选项当中，最后面我们刚刚有把 virtual 虚拟提出来，有没有？而且主词的 these games 跟上文也是互相呼应的。不过最后面剩下了 C 跟 D 的答案，到底应该是 C 还是 D 呢？ D 我们刚刚说这个选项啊，是批评者批评觉得密室逃脱可能会有危险，可是到了第三段的时候，我们并没有谈到危险，我们谈到的是10多年来还一直是流行的这个娱乐趋势，所以最后面的第4题答案应该要选 C， 而且我们已经回到了现代，就是在真实的室内的 realistically designed environments， 现在真实的密室逃脱。那当然在这个文章当中，我们可能就要特别注意第三段的第4句，因为第4句啊，虽然没有被设计成为题目，但是它有一个 with 表示附带状况的用法，在逗点之后的 with 受到介系词的关系，后面的范围从哪里开始到哪里的 range 这个动词就要变成动词 ing 咯。好，以上就是我们今天对于密室逃脱的讲解，希望你喜欢。我是 Anna， 我们下次见。
Mike, you busy this Friday? Should we go to an escape room?
I would go to an escape room with you.
I would go to an escape room. We'd have some pretty good fun trying to figure out these comprehensive tasks.
Definitely. Some of my friends are dummies, but you're not one of the dummies.
I
would definitely feel a sense of possible success with you. I'm afraid I would just get frustrated, and I would just want to sit there and smoke my pipe like Sherlock Holmes.
Be opening all the compartments to try and find something magical somewhere.
That, or I would just sit in the chair and read one of the interesting books they use to decorate the library or whatever in this, imaginary haunted house.
I say we do it. Let's go out and check it out. For English Digest, I'm Leah.
I'm Mike.
Bye.
Bye-bye.